Okay, so good morning, everybody. I woke up this morning remembering last night's teachings about feeling joyful about whatever you're doing. And then I looked at the plans for today and I said, wow, we get to do retreat and be on vacation with Medicine Buddha all day. I said, wow, it doesn't get much better than that. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing today. And Medicine Buddha is, like all the Buddhas, is our best friend, our best companion, the best one to rely on, the one who can really help us. We usually take refuge in ordinary sentient beings who are overpowered by afflictions and karma, who take rebirth under the influence of ignorance. And we take refuge in these people and think they will protect us and give us good advice. And no wonder we wind up in a mess. Whereas here, we're turning to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha for refuge. And for sure, Medicine Buddha is going to give us good advice. Yeah, he won't encourage us to break precepts. He won't, manipulate us to get something for himself. And so we can trust the advice of the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. There was a passage from one of the Pali scriptures. I really need to copy it out because I can't remember it, word by word. But in it, the Buddha is saying, during my life in samsara, I took refuge in ordinary beings who have afflictions, and yet, what did I expect from doing that? Yeah, when you take refuge in people who have anger, who are confused and don't understand cause and effect, people who are greedy or whatever, and yet we expect that, we're going to get good advice and those people are going to take care of us. And so this is problematic. Yeah. Have you ever followed bad advice given by well-meaning people? Yeah. Again, I don't know how many of you are following events in the U.S., but this is an incredible example of it. Just happened with one of Trump's lawyers who was his fixer and was the one who solved all his problems and did so much for him. And it misled that man. And now he was arrested, he was prosecuted, he's going to be serving prison time. And now he's really regretting that he lost his moral compass under the influence of Trump because he just kind of idolized the man. So this is such a good example of what we do too, when we lose our discriminating awareness and take refuge in people who don't have equal-hearted compassion for everybody, when we take refuge in people who don't understand the ultimate nature, then, they may seemingly mean well, but it spells trouble. Okay, so today, going on vacation with the Medicine Buddha, we're not going to have that problem. Okay, we can relax, we can trust the advice we get. Trusting the advice that we get from the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha does not mean that we don't question it, that we just have blind belief. The Buddha himself really emphasized the importance that we investigate his teachings, we think about them, we test them out. We don't just have blind belief because the Buddha said it. Okay? So this is very important because we need to think about the teachings so that we understand how to practice them and so that we understand them correctly. Okay? And this is why you can see in the Nalanda tradition, which began at Nalanda University in ancient India, the practice of debating the teachings. You debate, you really try and understand, you question. So the Buddha spoke about two kinds of disciples, sharp faculty disciples and dull faculty disciples. Okay? Sharp faculty disciples are people who question, who use reasoning to understand the teachings. And they're people who especially investigate the nature of reality in order to develop confidence that attaining liberation and attaining full awakening is actually possible. When they have that confidence derived from their own reasoning and contemplation that attaining these spiritual results is possible, then they generate bodhicitta, and then they really engage fully in the practice. Okay? The dull faculty disciples are ones who have great faith in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, but their faith isn't based on reasoning. And so they hear a teaching and they say, I believe it. Why? Because Buddha said so, or because my teacher said so. But they haven't really thought about the meaning of the teaching. Yeah? So it's just, okay, somebody well-respected said so, so I accept it without questioning. And the Buddha called these dull faculty disciples because their faith is not stable. If somebody else came along and taught them something different, then they would just say, oh yeah, I'll follow that guy. Yeah? Yeah, that philosophy makes sense. There's a pink pumpkin in the sky, and if we worship it, it will, give us worldly success. Oh yes, I'll do that. So we're not thinking, and therefore our faith isn't stable and can be shaken, and it becomes possible to follow wrong paths. So that's why the Buddha really emphasized for us to think about the teachings, question them, really understand them, and then our practice becomes quite stable. Then even if somebody comes along and says, you're a Buddhist, that's hogwash, it's all made up stories, what are you doing? Then you aren't moved by what that person says. The peer pressure from somebody else doesn't influence you because you know why you believe what you believe. And you know why the path is what it is. Okay? Is this making some sense to you? So nobody else can check the teachings out for us. This is something we have to do with ourselves. So we're going to be doing the Medicine Buddha practice, and on one hand, it might seem like, oh, well, this is a perfect example of doing things on faith. We visualize Medicine Buddha, we make offerings, then we request blessings from Medicine Buddha as if now Medicine Buddha is going to do things for us. Okay? Medicine Buddha, please make me realize bodhicitta. Please give me good health. Please help me to understand emptiness. Please help me to find Buddha boy and get married. So do you think that Medicine Buddha can do all of that for you? That's what ordinary people pray to a creator for. You know, they see the creator as like the manager of the universe who can do all these things. And if we pray to the Buddha, having that same kind of mind, we're somehow missing the point. Okay? So it's important when we're meditating on Medicine Buddha today to, on one hand, you can see him as a person, you know, who was an ordinary being who practiced the path and attained full awakening and became Medicine Buddha. But in another way, you can see Medicine Buddha as the expression of enlightened qualities. And this view of Medicine Buddha doesn't emphasize him so much as a person, but as a representation of the Buddha's qualities in a physical form. So why would there be such a representation? Well, the Buddha's Dharmakaya mind, the Buddha's omniscient mind, can we understand that mind directly? Hello? Yeah? Can you, speak to the Buddha's omniscient mind directly? No. It's way beyond anything that we can conceive of. So the Buddha, out of compassion, appears in physical forms that represent the qualities, because in that way we can communicate better with the Buddha. We can connect better with the Buddha. Okay? So that means that all of Medicine Buddha's physical features are illustrating the mental qualities that he has. Okay? So if we look at Medicine Buddha, yes. Yeah. And I think you all have a picture of Medicine Buddha, which was kindly offered. Okay. So when you look, the first thing that strikes you is his deep blue color. Yeah? So the deep blue color, it's like the sky, it's like the ocean. It's something very vast. Yeah? So it reminds us that the Buddha's wisdom, the Buddha's knowledge, is very deep, very vast. Yeah? And the blue color is a cooling color. Yeah? So it reminds us to chill out. I've been seeing posters around Singapore. Chill out. Go to the concert tonight. Yeah, you think some rock concert is going to make you chill out? Okay. So when we think of a deep blue color, that helps settle our mind, doesn't it? It's a cooling color. It cools the passions, of intense attachment or the flames of anger. Yeah. Buddha has a crown protrusion called an usnisha. Okay? So that's not because he bumped his head and got a concussion. But they speak of the 32 signs of awakened beings. And this is an ancient Indian tradition. Yeah, this isn't a specifically Buddhist thing. But in ancient India, they said awakened beings, there's 32 physical qualities that are indicative of having attained awakening. And the usnisha on the top of the head is one of them. Okay? And it represents the vast amount of virtuous actions to benefit sentient beings that the Buddha has done while on the Bodhisattva path. Yeah? And so if you think Medicine Buddha, practiced the Bodhisattva path for 3 countless great eons, that's a long time. Yeah. We want to get enlightened by next week. Yeah. Let's do it, get it over with, and then we can go on and have a career. It's not like that, Yesterday we were talking about joyous effort, So to have that joyous effort that takes delight in benefiting others, that takes delight in practicing for 3 countless great eons. Yeah. That isn't saying, listen, can we shorten it? 3 countless great eons is a lot. Can we make it 2.5? Because you know how we like to bargain for things. Yeah. So we want to bargain with the Buddha. We want to bargain with the Dharma, as if they could shorten the path. No, it depends on our exerting energy, It could take 2.5, it could take 3.5. It could take even more eons, but depending on the joyous effort and the strength of our motivation with which we practice. Okay? The Buddha is wearing monks' robes, the monastic robes. So that symbolizes ethical conduct. And ethical conduct is the foundation of so much of the Buddhist path. Whether you practice the fundamental vehicle with the 4 Noble Truths, or you practice the perfection vehicle, the Mahayana, or you practice Vajrayana, all of those depend on ethical conduct. Okay? And that's very important to understand, because sometimes you hear, oh, in Vajrayana there's no good, there's no bad. Yeah, you hear people say that. Well, when you're fully awakened, there's no good and no bad, because you always do what is perfect. You always do what is right to do. You don't break precepts. You don't go against the law of karma and its effects. You've realized emptiness, so you see there's no inherently existent good or inherently existent bad. So that applies to very high bodhisattvas and Buddhas. But many people at our level, although I don't know, maybe some of you are bodhisattvas and Buddhas, I'm not. At my level, if I say, oh, there's no good, there's no bad, it's all in your mind, do whatever you want, just have compassion. Then, with great compassion, because you're so messed up, I'm going to punch you in the nose so that you learn a lesson. Yeah? What do you think about that? Okay. So this is why we hear of scandals in the Buddhist community. Oh, there's no good, there's no bad. Yeah. And your teacher wants to have sex with you, and your teacher is the highest object of offering. You create so much merit, so you give your body and have sex with your teacher. Huh? Huh? Excuse me? Okay. So, we get these wrong kind of ideas, and then we're just taken away by, oh, here's a Rinpoche, here's a Lama, here's a monk, whoever it happens to be. And it's like, they chose me. Did they choose you? Oh, I'm prettier than you. I'm smarter than you. They chose me. Okay? So I'm saying this because I don't know in Singapore if other teachers talk about this or not. Did they talk about this? No, I didn't think so. Yeah? One of my friends in Seattle, she's a Chinese nun in the Chinese Mahayana tradition, and one teacher came to her temple, and one of the devotees really liked that teacher, and the teacher said, "Oh, my family needs, money for this and that," and this woman just kept giving him money and more money and more money until she was in financial problems and couldn't pay her bills. Okay? So I'm not saying don't be generous. I'm saying be wise. Yeah? Don't get swept off your feet by charisma. The Buddha gave very clear, a very clear description of the qualities to look for in good teachers, such as ethical conduct, meditative experience, knowledge and wisdom of emptiness, compassion, and so on. Charisma was not one of those qualities. Okay, you know what charisma is? Yeah? Somebody is exciting and gets you all jazzed up. Okay? So last year, no, not last year. It was just 2 months ago. I went to a monastic conference in the US. We have conferences for the last 24 years. We've had conferences where the Western and Asian teachers in the US get together from all the different traditions. Yeah, and so we meet together for 5 days, and it's a wonderful experience. It's not a conference. We don't write papers, we don't produce reports, we become friends. And so we spend 5 days together talking about things of mutual concern, because being a monastic in the West is a very unusual experience. It's quite different than being a monastic in Singapore or Taiwan or Korea or, in a Buddhist country. So 2 months ago, one of the issues that came up was sexual abuse. Because in America, this has been a big issue for a number of years. And now women are speaking up about it and, revealing it instead of being filled with shame and keeping it hidden. And so we were discussing this, and especially sexual abuse as it occurs in Buddhist organizations. And one of the, because you may know that the Catholic Church is in big problem because of sexual abuse, and it's a huge problem. And now many Protestant, evangelical ministers, similar, problems with sexual abuse. So we were discussing this, and one of the points that came out was that we need better education. And we needed to educate people about what is proper conduct and what is not proper conduct. So that people are not led astray by charisma. And so I know this is a dicey subject because nobody talks about it in Singapore. Nobody even talks about sex in Singapore. let alone a nun. But, we decided as a group of monks and nuns that that we needed more education about this, so that people were very clear when you go to a Buddhist teaching, it's to learn the Dharma. Yeah? It's not to become somebody important. It's not to be swept away by the teacher's attention on you individually. Yeah? It's to learn how to abandon your mental afflictions and develop your good qualities. Okay? So stay focused on that. And if somebody approaches you, oh, you are a special person, yeah, or somebody, especially for women, says, oh, come to my room, in the evening, and I'll answer your Dharma questions, or something like that, don't get involved in it. Yeah. It only leads you to a lot of pain, and it leads to degeneration of the Dharma. So be very clear on your own ethical code and what you want to do and what you don't want to do. And if somebody, whether it is a teacher, a Dharma teacher or not, asks you to go against that ethical code, then you very freely say no, and you leave. There's nothing wrong with that. One woman once came to me, and she was saying, oh, I was studying with this one teacher in Nepal, and he asked me to come to his room in the evening, and he gave such good teachings, and I thought, wow, I'll get a personal teaching. But I didn't feel comfortable going alone to his room in the evening. So I said no, but now I'm really full of doubts. Maybe I made the wrong decision. Maybe I missed having a special personalized teacher and teaching. And she said, did I make a mistake? And I said, no, you did the right thing. Yeah, you have confidence. If your gut tells you something fishy is going on, listen to that, okay? So, back to my initial point. I go off on tangents a lot. Okay. But the medicine Buddha's wearing monastic robes. Yeah. So if you are a monastic, you are celibate. Period. No exceptions. Okay. So if somebody is wearing monastic robes, they should be celibate. If they're not, and you know they're not, then you tell somebody, because they shouldn't be wearing robes. Yeah, it's important that people keep their precepts. Similarly, I know that people dress up as monastics and they go in the MRT and beg. If those people are not monastics, but they're wearing monastic robes, they're actually creating great negative karma. Yeah, because they're deceiving people in that way. Yeah. So, when they talk about the degeneration of the Dharma, it's not so much from outside forces as it is from our not keeping good ethical conduct. Yeah. And so, like I was saying before I went off on that tangent, whether you're practicing the fundamental vehicle with the Four Truths, the perfection vehicle of the Mahayana, the Vajrayana, everything depends on ethical conduct. And there's different levels of ethical conduct. You know, there's the 5 precepts and the 5 lay precepts and the monastic precepts. Those are all on the level, what we call pratimoksha, or individual liberation. Then there's the bodhisattva precepts. Then there's the tantric precepts. Yeah? So if you want to get realizations, we have to keep the precepts. And I see many people, coming and saying, oh, Tantra is so wonderful. I want tantric initiation. They have no idea what the tantric precepts are, what the commitments are, but they happily take them. Actually, they're quite difficult to keep. But, I'll take them because I want the highest teaching. But then they say, but this teacher's teaching about the 5 precepts. That's such a basic teaching. I learned, don't kill, don't steal, don't lie. I learned that at 6 years old from my parents. Why do I have to go to a Dharma class to learn that? That's old stuff. I am a very high, exalted practitioner. I take tantric initiations. Yeah? Okay. And then they think that the more they hear bells ring and drums play, and the more everything's in Tibetan, so the less they understand, then the bigger the blessing must be. Okay? That's all, that shows our lack of intelligence. Yeah? You think you're going to get some big blessing when you don't understand anything? Yeah? The whole meaning of blessing, the term jinlab in Tibetan, means to transform the mind. To transform the mind into a more exalted state. So receiving a blessing means that we have to transform our minds. Yeah. It's not that you get some holy water and you get a long life pill and somebody hits you on the head and that does it. Boing. Now I'm really enlightened. You just got a concussion. Okay? So it's not the substances. They use the substances as a way to get us to think clearly and to focus our mind and to imagine the kind of realizations a Buddha has and to turn our mind towards those realizations. Okay. There was one Lama who was very good. He was talking about blessing cords, Do you have blessing cords? Oh, you don't have blessing cords. Oh, but if you wear this cord, you are blessed. Yeah? So this Lama was talking about it. He said, they're often called protection cords, So we think protection means, from spirits and enemies and external beings. It actually means protection from our own ignorance and afflictions. Okay? By meditating on emptiness and dependent arising. That's what it's supposed to protect us from, because it reminds us to meditate on emptiness and dependent arising. But anyway, this Lama was saying, the protection cords. Yeah, you think it's going to protect you from harm, but you have to protect it. Otherwise, it gets dirty, it gets broken, it falls apart. How is it going to protect you when you have to protect it? So I thought, that Lama, that's good, you know? He's telling it as it is. Yeah. Because somehow we always want to turn towards something external. Yeah, don't we? Yeah. It's so hard dealing with our own mental afflictions. We want some easy path where something external is going to do it for us. And, you know, I think the most powerful teaching the Buddha gave was that our experience comes from our own mind. So if we want our experience to change, we have to change our mind. Yeah, it's not about changing everything around us and external things giving us lots of blessings. Like I said, those things can inspire our mind, but it's the inspiration in our mind that makes us turn our mind towards the Dharma that is the actual blessing or protection. Okay? Yeah. I remember when I lived in Nepal, you know, especially, you know, the Tibetans, everybody collected blessing cords. Yeah. So people would have like maybe 20 blessing cords around their neck. Yeah. And one of the lamas used to joke, that just gives more space for the lice to live. Because most of these villagers had lice, and the lice, you know, just they lived in the blessing cords. Okay? So, you're looking at Medicine Buddha, you know, wearing monastic robes. He's indicating ethical conduct and how important ethical conduct is for us. Because if we keep good ethical conduct, people will trust us. If we don't keep good ethical conduct, people will not trust us. I remember one time, many years ago, some of you from SPBS, okay, wake up, SPBS people, wake up, you in the back, hey. So I remember one time we had a discussion about what are qualities you look for in good friends. Yeah? And so people were talking about, do you remember that discussion? We were talking about what qualities make us attracted to people, what qualities make us want to become friends with people. And so, of course, somebody with, you know, a sense of humor, somebody who's fun to be with, but somebody we can trust, somebody who we can tell personal things to, who's not going to go blabbering them all over the place. Somebody who's going to tell us the truth. Somebody who's not going to steal our stuff or cheat us or punch us in the nose. Okay? Somebody who's not going to gossip about us behind our back and tell other people all sorts of stories about how awful we are. Okay? Are those qualities that you look for in friends? Yeah? So we were discussing this in SPBS, and then the conclusion of the discussion was, wow, the things that we look for in friends were the 10 virtuous actions that the Buddha set forth, the opposite of the 10 non-virtues. And then it was like, oh, that's why the Buddha talked about, you know, the 10 non-virtues to abandon and the opposites, the 10 virtues to practice. Because if we do that, we become the kind of trustworthy people that other people will want to have as friends. Yeah. And we also avoid negativity and create merit, which will help us on the path to awakening. Okay? So ethical conduct is not some kind of thing for 6-year-olds. It's actually, the more you go into the precepts and really think about them, the more there is in them. Yeah? And the more there is to think about and reflect about in terms of our own actions and our own thoughts. Yeah? They're quite profound. Okay, like, for example, like the precept, the 5th precept, not to take intoxicants. Literally, it's not to take alcohol. So does that mean that you can then take recreational drugs? No. Okay. Does that mean because it only says to abandon alcohol that you can abuse prescription drugs? No. Okay. In my country now, there's a huge problem with people abusing prescription drugs. Yeah? And people taking Oxycontin and all sorts of opioids, getting addicted to these painkillers, then going on the streets to buy some of them, and the heroin and so forth being cut with fentanyl, which is an even more powerful opioid, and then people overdosing in public. Yeah? And finding people just collapsed on the street. I saw a video online, this really tore me apart, of a mother who had taken opioids, blacked out in the middle of the grocery store, was lying on the floor in the grocery store with her 2-year-old child pulling on her arms and saying, "Mama, Mama," and the mother's completely unresponsive. And the child is freaking out. She knows something's wrong with her mom. So this kind of thing of abuse of prescription drugs, I don't think it's a big problem in Singapore. Yeah, I hope it never becomes a problem in Singapore, but it's a big problem in my country. Yeah, and a very high death rate of people ODing. In fact, we had one young man, he wasn't that young, he was in his mid-30s, and he, had a drug problem. His father was a first responder, somebody who went in ambulances when there was emergencies. His father had become addicted to drugs because he had access to them through his work. His father OD'd, and died from drug overdose. The son got into drugs. He was getting off drugs. He came and spent a few months at the Abbey. He was doing really well, and he wrote his parents that it was the happiest he had ever been. And then at one point he said, "Okay, I'm clean now. I'll go back to my hometown." We didn't agree, but he's an adult. He went back, and then a few months later, we received an email from his mom and from his grandma that he had overdosed and died. Yeah, and I mean, for me, again, this was so painful. Somebody dying in a way that they don't need to die. Yeah. So the Intoxicant Precept is a very important one. Now, we might say, well, I'm not going to take those kind of drugs. I'm not going to overdose. But of course, that's what all the people who take the drugs and overdose think. But what about alcohol? Yeah, alcohol's a big problem. Yeah, I talked to one mother. She was telling me that her husband used to drink a lot, and he collected all the bottles of, the fancy kind of expensive liquor that he would drink, and different kind of beer and all that kind of stuff. And he had a whole shelf in his house with all the bottles and beer cans and things. And he thought it was really, the father thought it was really kind of cool. Well, the son started drinking too. And one night, the son was drunk, got in a car accident, killed 4 people, and himself wound up in a coma. Okay, so think of the karma, of killing 4 people because you were intoxicated. What that does to other people's lives and their families. And then plus, he was in a coma because of his injuries. And he kept being in a coma. He didn't come out. And eventually the parents were faced with the decision because he was intubated, he was on a breathing machine, the parents were faced with the decision of whether to pull the plug and take him off the breathing machine. And they decided to do it. And it was gut-wrenching for the parents. Can you imagine seeing your child in a coma and you having to make the decision to take them off the breathing machine knowing that they were going to die? It was horrible for the parents. Yeah. The father went home after that. All of his collection of bottles, he went, he was so distraught. Because he realized that by drinking himself, he set the example for his son to drink. Yeah, and that's what happened. Okay, so the Intoxicant Precept, I'm telling you these kinds of stories. They're rather shocking, and they're true, and I know the people. But there's all sorts of subtle ways that we intoxicate ourselves. Okay? For example, gambling. Did you ever think of gambling as a form of intoxication? Yeah? People get intoxicated. Intoxicated in the sense that they lose their ability to think clearly. That's what intoxication means. You can't think clearly. You can't make good decisions. People who are gambling addicts, cannot make good decisions. I know one person, quite well. Her mother is a gambling addict. Her mother wound up taking her wedding ring to the pawn shop to get more money so she could go gambling. I know a few people in Singapore, who have relatives with gambling problems, and how it destroys the family, not only financially, but in terms of family harmony. And then what does it do to your mind? People who gamble say they get a big rush, Whoa! I'm gonna win the jackpot. I'm gonna win a lot of money. And if most people won a lot of money, then there wouldn't be casinos, because the casinos would have gone broke. So the fact that there are casinos and that the casinos make a lot of money indicates that it's very likely you're going to lose your money by gambling. So you're paying money to have this rush of excitement, thinking falsely that you're going to win. Okay? Problematic, isn't it? Yeah. So gambling is a form of intoxication. Yeah? Now I'm going to say one that's really going to shock you. Shopping. You hit it. You got it. Shopping. I once went on pilgrimage with a group of Singaporeans to China. You guys got it already. I didn't even need to say anything more. So I learned that, for Singapore, there's not the usual 6 bodhisattva perfections. There's a 7th one, the perfection of shopping, that Singaporeans definitely have perfected. Okay, because we were at all these holy sites, and I wanted to go look at the cave carvings. I wanted to make prostrations to the Bodhisattvas. I wanted to go inside the temples, and they all wanted to go shopping outside the temples. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so shopping is kind of an addiction, isn't it? What do you do when you feel bored? You go buy something. And nowadays, you don't even need to leave your house. You just go online and you buy all sorts of stuff you don't need that whereby we use more of the earth's resources than we're entitled to. We have the thing, we get it, we feel 5 minutes of pleasure, and after that we're bored. And it clutters up our house, but we can't give it away. Okay? We don't want to give it away, even though somebody else could use it, even though there's lots of people who are in need, who are poor. Even though we're not using it, we can't give it away. Okay? So we can see this is some kind of addiction, isn't it? It takes over our mind. After the 9/11 attack on the U.S., when the towers fell, the advice that President George Bush gave us, the wise advice of the leader of the country, was to be angry and go shopping. Because shopping was good for the economy. And after this attack, we needed to make sure our economy stayed strong. Okay. Maybe this is why I love Nagarjuna's book, The Precious Garland, the one, that I was talking about the other night, Practical Ethics, Profound Emptiness. Nagarjuna gave explicit instructions to the king on how to govern the country so that it would be peaceful and the people would be well off. Yeah? And these are the exact kinds of things that Nagarjuna spoke about to the king. Yeah? So, the American presidents need a special tutorial. Yeah? Okay. What do you think is the biggest intoxicating thing nowadays? Handphones. Handphones and social media. Yeah? What's the first thing you do in the morning? Check your messages. Yeah. Maybe something came for me. Yeah. Have you ever gotten a message that has brought you infinite joy? No. Most of our messages are quite boring. But we still need to check all the time to make, yeah, you're taking out your handphone right now. To check whether some new message came. Okay. At the Abbey, when people come for retreats, they have to turn in their handphones. Yeah. People look at us with horror, as if we are asking them to cut off part of their hand because the phone is permanently attached. So if you take the hand phone, you've got to cut my hand. You know, how can I live without my hand phone? You know, actually, believe it or not, you can live without your hand phone. Yeah, I am the only person of 7 billion who don't have a hand phone. Yeah, maybe there's a few other people like me. Yeah, do I look like I'm suffering intensely? Oh, they all have hand phones and I don't. I don't know what my friend ate for breakfast. And that's the most important thing to check on social media. They tell me these important things about their life. And I missed out. Oh, thank goodness. I don't want to be available 24/7. Yeah? And I don't want to receive messages. I was teasing her because whenever we go places in Singapore, you know, we either get messages or we send messages about traveling there. So we were walking here and she said, there's no messages asking where we are. And I said, that's because you're the one who's supposed to be sending the messages. We're walking down the stairs, one message. We're on the street now, another one. We're walking down the street, another message. We're almost there, another message. We'll be there in 1 minute, another message. We're here. Yeah? That's what it's like. To tell you the truth, I don't want to receive those messages. I don't find them so interesting. Yeah? And I don't want to send messages like that. Yeah? When somebody gets there, they get there. Okay, you know, in the case of an emergency, you're on the highway, yeah, you had a flat tire, then they come in handy. Yeah. But aside from that, I don't know. Okay. And I actually think that a lot of social media is very detrimental. Yeah. First of all, a lot of it is fake news. Yeah. So I agree with the president on one item. Yeah. Except I think he's the source of most of the fake news. Okay. But I think, you know, there's a lot of fake news on social media. So you really have to use your discriminating wisdom. And I think it gives us distorted views of ourselves and of other people. Because when you set up your Facebook page, you set up everything good that's going for you in your life. Yeah, look who I'm going out. Oops, I'm married. I'm not supposed to talk about that. You know, look at what I ate for dinner. Look at this, look at that. You create an image of yourself that you want other people to believe. You don't tell the ugly parts of yourself. Yeah, you don't reveal your mistakes on your Facebook account. Okay. So you create an image of yourself that is, I am a successful, wise, talented, rich, gorgeous, athletic person. Yeah. So other people look at that, yeah, or we look at other people's social media pages and we go, wow, their lives are going so well. But my life, this is wrong and I have that problem. I just don't have the same opportunities. I don't have the same qualities. I'm not as good as that person. And we start comparing ourselves to that person and then feeling awful about ourselves. Okay? And this is very deceptive because we're not comparing apples to apples. We're comparing apples to oranges. Okay? Because what somebody says on their social media account is an idealized version of themselves. And we're comparing that with what we know about our own lives. We don't know all that stuff about other people's lives. We don't know what's really going on in their minds. We know our own trials and tribulations. So we compare that with this idealized version of our friends. And that sets us up for a lot of feelings of being unworthy and being unsuccessful. And all of that is really false. Yeah? And very damaging to our self-confidence. Yeah? So remember last night when we were talking about joyous effort, we talked about the importance of having self-confidence. Yeah? Knowing we have the Buddha nature, going ahead, doing our best in our practice. Yeah? Not getting waylaid by comparing ourselves to these false images of other people. Okay? So, social media, handphones, big intoxication, big addiction process. I heard in Korea, actually, they have rehab centers for young people who are addicted to social media and handphones. Yeah? Okay, so my main point here was when you really look deeply in the precepts, you see all sorts of different aspects. And so that's what I was pointing out, talking about the precept of abandoning intoxication. Yeah? A lot of different ways that manifests. So I had planned on leading the Medicine Buddha sadhana this session. I'm a little bit behind schedule. Okay, so why don't you just stretch? Don't go anywhere. Just stand up and stretch. And then in a minute, we'll sit down and then we'll do the practice, okay? Yeah, so if you need to stretch, stretch. Okay. Okay, so when we do the sadhana, I'll read the visualization parts so that you can visualize, and then the other prayers and recitations we'll say out loud together. Okay, so you have a copy of it, okay? And it'll be on the screen in a minute too. Okay? So just look at what the Medicine Buddha looks like. By the way, what he's holding in his hand is an alms bowl, and inside of it is an aurora plant. Aurora is an herb that is the basis of a lot of Tibetan and Indian medicine. Okay, so that's why in his alms bowl there's the aurora plant. Okay, so come back to your breath. Yeah, let your mind settle, and then I'll read the visualization while you visualize. So above the crown of your head is an open lotus flower. And this whole visualization is made of light. At its center is a white moon disk, a flat moon. And seated upon that is your root guru, your most important teacher, who is the Dharmakaya essence of all the Buddhas, appearing in the form of the Medicine Buddha. So the Medicine Buddha is facing the same direction as you are. His body is blue, made of blue light, and radiates very beautiful blue light all around. His right hand is in the mudra of granting sublime realizations. So that means it's on his knee with the palm up. Okay, it's his right hand on his right knee with the palm up. And in that hand, he holds the stem of an aurora plant between his thumb and his index finger. His left hand is in the mudra of concentration, so it's in his lap with the palm up. And he's holding in it a lapis lazuli alms bowl filled with nectar and the aurora plant. He's seated in the Vajra position, and he wears the 3 saffron robes of a monastic. And he has all the signs and marks of a fully awakened Buddha. So take a minute and imagine the Medicine Buddha, the embodiment of all wisdom and compassion, appearing above the crown of your head. And then think of the qualities of the Medicine Buddha. His equal love and compassion for each and every living being. No matter how we treat the Medicine Buddha, His love and compassion remains constant for us. Recall His wisdom that knows even the minute details of karma and its effects, as well as knows directly the ultimate nature of reality, the emptiness of inherent existence. Think of the Buddha's enlightening activities, how he can manifest in many different forms according to what is needed for sentient beings. And then with confidence that the medicine Buddha, his Dharma, and the Sangha, the community of followers who have realized reality directly, with confidence that they can guide us to full awakening and to a good rebirth, and even how to have a better life now. Then we take refuge and generate the bodhicitta. So we'll chant the first verse. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create, by engaging in generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I engage, by engaging in generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create, by engaging in generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. How wonderful it would be if all sentient beings were to abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment, and anger. May they abide in this way. I shall cause them to abide in this way. Guru, Medicine, Buddha, please inspire me to be able to do so. How wonderful it would be if all sentient beings had happiness and its causes. May they have these. I shall cause them to have these. Guru, Medicine, Buddha, please inspire me to be able to do so. How wonderful it would be if all sentient beings were free from suffering and its causes. May they be free. I shall cause them to be free. Guru, Medicine, Buddha, please inspire me to be able to do so. How wonderful it would be if all sentient beings were never parted from upper rebirth and liberation's excellent bliss. May they never be parted. I shall cause them never to be parted. Guru, Medicine, Buddha, please inspire me to be able to do so. Especially for the sake of all mother sentient beings, I must quickly and more quickly in this very life attain the precious state of complete and perfect Buddhahood. Therefore, I shall practice the yoga method of Guru Medicine Buddha. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind to Guru Medicine Buddha and present clouds of every type of offering, actual and mentally transformed. I confess all my destructive actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain as our guide until cyclic existence ends, and turn the wheel of Dharma for sentient beings. I dedicate all the virtues of myself and others to the ripening of the two bodhicittas and the attainment of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. This ground anointed with perfume, flowers strewn Mount Meru, for land, sun, and moon, imagined as a Buddha land and offered to you. May all beings enjoy this pure land. The objects of attachment, aversion, and ignorance, friends, enemies, and strangers, my body, wealth, and enjoyments, I offer these without any sense of loss. Please accept them with pleasure and inspire me and others to be free from the three poisonous attitudes. Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayami. I request you, Bhagawan Medicine Guru, whose sky-colored holy body of lapis lazuli signifies omniscient wisdom and compassion, as vast as limitless space, please inspire my mind. I request you, compassionate Medicine Guru, who holds in your hand the brightness symbolizing your vow to help the pitiful sentient beings plagued by the 404 diseases, please inspire my mind. I request you, compassionate Medicine Guru, who holds in your left hand a bowl of nectar symbolizing your vow to give the glorious undying nectar of the Dharma, which eliminates the generations of sickness, aging, and death. Please inspire my mind. Okay, so now do the following visualization. Okay, so Medicine Buddha is on the crown of your head, facing the same direction as you. And on the crown of Guru Medicine Buddha's head is a wish-fulfilling jewel, which in essence is your root teacher. Now above that, so above Medicine Buddha's head, there's a lotus and a moon disk, and seated on that is Buddha, King of Clear Knowing. He's red. His right hand is in the mudra of bestowing sublime realizations, and his left hand is in the mudra of concentration. So the same hand gestures as the Medicine Buddha, but he's red. Above him, on a lotus and moon seat, is the Buddha, Melodious Ocean of Renowned Dharma. So he's yellow, and his hands are in the same mudras. Above him, on a lotus and moon disk, is the Buddha, the supreme glory, free from sorrow. And he's pink. And both hands are in the mudra of concentration. So both hands in his lap in meditative position. Okay, above him is a lotus and moon disk. And seated on that is the Buddha, the stainless excellent gold. So he's pale yellow in color. His right hand is in the mudra of expounding the Dharma, so it's at his heart. And the left hand is in the mudra of concentration. Above him, on a lotus and moon disk, is the Buddha, king of melodious sound. He's orange in color, with hands in that same mudra as the Buddha below him. Above him, on a lotus and moon disk, is the Buddha, renowned, glorious king of excellent signs. He's yellow, and his hands are also in the same mudras. So that's a lot to visualize. If you can't get every detail, don't worry about it. Just have the sense that there's these 8 Buddhas sitting one on top of the other on the top of your head. And they're all looking at you with delight and wishing to inspire your mind so that you can have clarity in your meditation and gain realizations. Okay, so now we're going to make requests to these medicine Buddhas. And so we recite each verse 3 times. And it has the name of the medicine Buddha, starting with the medicine Buddha that's on the top of the line. And after we recite his verse, then he dissolves into light and melts into the medicine Buddha below him. So we'll do these verses together. So this first medicine Buddha on the top, he's yellow. Okay. To the Bhagawan, completely perfected Buddha, having realized the ultimate nature of all phenomena, Buddha, glorious king of excellent signs, I prostrate, go for refuge, and make offerings. May your vow to benefit all sentient beings now ripen for myself and others. To the Bhagawan, completely perfected Buddha, having realized the ultimate nature of all phenomena, Buddha, renowned, glorious king of excellent signs, I prostrate, go for refuge, and make offerings. May your vow to benefit all sentient beings now ripen for myself and others. To the Bhagawan, completely perfected Buddha, having realized the ultimate nature of all phenomena, Buddha, renowned, glorious king of excellent signs, I prostrate, go for refuge, and make offerings. May your vow to benefit all sentient beings now ripen for myself and others. And wait. So now, think that Buddha, who's yellow, dissolves into light and melts into the Buddha below him, who is pink. No, who is orange. Okay? And then we request that Buddha. To the Bhagawan, completely perfected Buddha, having realized the ultimate nature of all phenomena, Buddha, king of melodious sound, brilliant radiance of skill, adorned with jewels, moon, and lotus, I prostrate, go for refuge, and make offerings. May your vow to benefit all sentient beings now ripen for myself and others. To the Bhagawan, completely perfected Buddha, having realized the ultimate nature of all phenomena, Buddha, king of melodious sound, brilliant radiance of skill, adorned with jewels, moon, and lotus, I prostrate, go for refuge, and make offerings. May your vow to benefit all sentient beings now ripen for myself and others. To the Bhagawan, completely perfected Buddha, having realized the ultimate nature of all phenomena, Buddha, king of melodious sound, brilliant radiance of skill, adorned with jewels, moon, and lotus, I prostrate, go for refuge, and make offerings. May your vow to benefit all sentient beings now ripen for myself and others. Okay, so that Buddha, who is orange, dissolves into light and melts into the Buddha below him, who is pale yellow. And then we request that Buddha. To the Bhagawan, completely perfected Buddha, having realized the ultimate nature of all phenomena, Buddha, stainless, excellent gold, great jewel, who accomplishes all vows, I prostrate, go for refuge, and make offerings. May your vow to benefit all sentient beings now ripen for myself and others. To the Bhagawan, completely perfected Buddha, having realized the ultimate nature of all phenomena, Buddha, stainless, excellent gold, great jewel, who accomplishes all vows, I prostrate, go for refuge, and make offerings. May your vow to benefit all sentient beings now ripen for myself and others. To the Bhagawan, completely perfected Buddha, having realized the ultimate nature of all phenomena, Buddha, stainless, excellent gold, great jewel, who accomplishes all vows, I prostrate, go for refuge, and make offerings. May your vow to benefit all sentient beings now ripen for myself and others. So that Buddha, who was pale yellow, dissolves into light, and he dissolves into the Buddha below him, who is pink. And then we request that Buddha. To the Bhagawan, completely perfected Buddha, having realized the ultimate nature of all phenomena, Buddha, supreme glory, free from sorrow, I prostrate, go for refuge, and make offerings. May your vow to benefit all sentient beings now ripen for myself and others. To the Bhagawan, completely perfected Buddha, having realized the ultimate nature of all phenomena, Buddha, supreme glory, free from sorrow, I prostrate for refuge and make offerings. May your vow to benefit all sentient beings now ripen for myself and others. To the Bhagawan, completely perfected Buddha, having realized the ultimate nature of all phenomena, Buddha, supreme glory, free from sorrow, I prostrate, make a refuge, and make offerings. May your vow to benefit all sentient beings ripen for myself and others. So that Buddha, who is pink, dissolves into light, and the light dissolves into the Buddha below him, who is yellow. And then we request that Buddha. To the Bhagawan, completely perfected Buddha, having realized the ultimate nature of all phenomena, Buddha, melodious ocean of renowned Dharma, I prostrate, go for refuge, and make offerings. May your vow to benefit all sentient beings now ripen for myself and others. To the Bhagawan, completely perfected Buddha, having realized the ultimate nature of all phenomena. Buddha, melodious ocean of renowned Dharma, I prostrate, go for refuge, and make offerings. May your vow to benefit all sentient beings now ripen for myself and others. To the Bhagawan, completely perfected Buddha, having realized the ultimate nature of all phenomena. Buddha, melodious ocean of renowned Dharma, I prostrate, make refuge, and make offerings. May your vow to benefit all sentient beings now ripen for myself and others. Okay, so that Buddha who is yellow dissolves into light, and that light dissolves into the Buddha below him who is red in color. And then we request that Buddha. To the Bhagawan, completely perfected Buddha, having realized the ultimate nature of all phenomena, Buddha, delightful king of clear knowing, supreme wisdom, ocean of Dharma, I prostrate, go for refuge, and make offerings. May your vow to benefit all sentient beings now ripen for myself and others. To the Bhagawan, completely perfected Buddha, having realized the ultimate nature of all phenomena, Buddha, delightful king of clear knowing, supreme wisdom, ocean of Dharma, I prostrate, go for refuge, and make offerings. May your vow to benefit all sentient beings now ripen for myself and others. To the Bhagawan, completely perfected Buddha, having realized the ultimate nature of all phenomena, Buddha, delightful king of clear knowing, supreme wisdom, ocean of Dharma, I prostrate, go for refuge, and make offerings. May your vow to benefit all sentient beings now ripen for myself and others. So that Buddha, which was red, dissolves into light, and that light dissolves into the medicine Buddha below him, who is blue. And then we request the medicine Buddha. To the Bhagawan, completely perfected Buddha, having realized the ultimate nature of all phenomena, medicine Buddha of lapis light, I prostrate, go for refuge, and make offerings. May your vow to benefit all sentient beings now ripen for myself and others. To the Bhagawan, completely perfected Buddha, having realized the ultimate nature of all phenomena, medicine Buddha, king of lapis light, I prostrate, go for refuge, and make offerings. May your vow to benefit all sentient beings now ripen for myself and others. To the Bhagawan, completely perfected Buddha, having realized the ultimate nature of all phenomena, medicine Buddha, king of lapis light, I prostrate, go for refuge, and make offerings. May your vow to benefit all sentient beings now ripen for myself and others. So in response to your request, infinite white rays of light stream down from the heart and body of Guru Medicine Buddha. And this completely fills your body, purifying all diseases, all spirit harms, and especially the negative karma and mental afflictions, disturbing emotions that cause disease and harm. So think all fear, anxiety, and disturbing emotions are also purified, and your body becomes the nature of light, clean and clear like crystal. And while we continue with that visualization of the white light flowing into us, purifying us, healing us, then really feel like all your anxiety is gone. All your feelings of remorse and guilt are gone. Any negative karma you've created is completely gone. So really feel quite fresh and new inside yourself. And while continuing with the visualization, we'll also chant the mantra. Tayata om bekansi ma rata samungate soha. 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 Tayata om bekansi rata samungate soha. Tayata om bekansi maha 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 bekansi rata samungate soha. Tayata om bekansi ma 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 bekansi rata samungate soha. So feel really completely pure inside. And then again, light from the Medicine Buddha flows down from the Medicine Buddha's heart and his whole body. And it flows into you. And it brings, this time it's yellow in color, and it brings with it the realizations of the path and all the excellent qualities of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So you feel like your mind is transformed into the great love and great compassion and profound wisdom of all the Buddhas. And again, while focusing on this golden, brilliant light of all the qualities and realizations of the Buddha flowing into you, filling your body completely, enhancing all of your good qualities. So while we continue with the visualization, we'll also chant the mantra. Tayata om vacancy ma vacancy rasta samangate soha. 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 Now visualize Medicine Buddha on the crown of each sentient being's head. So think all sentient beings are seated around you in human form, and a manifestation of the Medicine Buddha is on the crown of each of their heads. So think specifically of those beings who are suffering either physically or emotionally and are in need of healing. So people with physical injuries, with physical illness, with mental illness. And again, as first white light and then yellow light flow down into them, think that they are healed, that all their karma for having these illnesses and injuries is purified with the white light. And then think of yellow light coming, bringing all the realizations of the path, so that all living beings have only good qualities now. Again, while we continue with the visualization, we chant the mantra. Tayata Om Vacancy Ma Vacancy Rasa Samangate Soha. 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 So now think that all the medicine Buddhas on top of all the sentient beings' heads, and also the medicine Buddha on top of your head, that they all melt into light. And then that light absorbs into you between your eyebrows, and it blesses your body, speech, and mind, meaning that it transforms your body, speech, and mind into virtue. And really feel that that closeness with the medicine Buddha who's dissolved into you and merged with your mind, so that your mind and the medicine Buddha's mind are non-dual. Then we'll dedicate the merit. So those prayers are on the last page. Due to this merit, may we soon attain the awakened state of medicine Buddha, that we may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious Bodhi mind, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. Due to the virtue accumulated by my doing the medicine Buddha practice, may I complete the ocean-like deeds of the Bodhisattvas. May I become the protector, refuge, and guide of migratory beings who have been infinitely kind to me. Just as Guru Medicine Buddha with compassion guides all sentient beings infinite as space, may I also become a compassionate guide of all sentient beings existing in all directions of the universe. Due to the merit accumulated by myself and in the past, present, and future, may anyone who merely sees, hears, remembers, touches, or talks to me be freed in that very instant from all sufferings and abide in happiness forever. Due to this virtue, which is empty, may I, who is empty, quickly achieve Medicine Buddha's awakening, which is empty, and lead all sentient beings who are empty to that awakening, which is empty, by myself alone, who is also empty. Okay. Do you feel different? Did it have some effect on your mind? Okay. So we're going to take a break for lunch now. Do we have the offering, food offering prayers on the screen? Good. There's the 5 contemplations first. Yes. Okay. So this is how we offer food at the Abbey. A book about this is coming out. Let's see, it's December 16th. What day is today? 5th. So it's coming out tomorrow. We won't have the copies in Singapore by tomorrow, though. But it's called The Compassionate Kitchen. And it's a series of talks I gave explaining the meaning of all these verses and how we offer the food and how to think when we're eating and how to bring some kind of spirituality also into our families when we eat together. Okay, so when we do the 5 contemplations, we pause between each one to actually think about what it means. I contemplate all the causes and conditions and the kindness of others by which I have received this food. I contemplate my own practice, constantly trying to improve it. I contemplate my mind, cautiously guarding it from wrongdoing, greed, and other defilements. I contemplate this food, treating it as wondrous medicine to nourish my body. I contemplate the aim of Buddhahood, accepting and consuming this food in order to accomplish it. Om Ahong, Om Ahong, Om Ahong. Great compassionate protector, all-knowing teacher, field of merit and good qualities, vast as an ocean, to the Tathagata I bow, through purity freeing from attachment, through virtue freeing from the lower realms, unique supreme ultimate reality, to the Dharma that is peace I bow, having freed myself, showing the path to freedom, to having through the trainings, the holy beings with good qualities, to the Sangha I bow, to the Supreme Teacher, the precious Buddha, to the Supreme Refuge, the holy precious Dharma, to the Supreme Guides, the precious Sangha, To all the objects of refuge we make this offering. May we and all those around us never be separated from the triple gem in any of our lives. May we always have the opportunity to make offerings to them, and may we continuously receive their blessings and inspiration to progress along the path. By seeing this food as medicine, I will consume it without attachment or complaint, not to increase my arrogant strength or good looks, but solely to sustain my life. Okay, so while you eat, think about the 5 contemplations and think that you are offering food to, or blissful nectar to the Buddha. Okay, then we'll come back at 1:30 and resume for the afternoon. So there's an hour and a quarter for lunch and cleanup. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much for your precious teaching. Brothers and sisters, can we please rise as Venerable take her leave?
Also, we didn't have time for Q&A. If you have questions, please write them down and leave them here, and we'll do some Q&A after lunch. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. So, this afternoon, what we're going to do, the first half of the afternoon, is we'll have some discussion groups. And then after that, we'll go into this pile of Q&A and some more teachings on the Medicine Buddha. So the purpose of the discussion groups, we do these all the time at the Abbey, and they're very, very effective because it gets people thinking about and expressing in words how they relate to their own Dharma practice. And because lots of times we just, we know our own practice and we think, oh, I can't concentrate, I can't do this right, I can't do that right. But when you talk together with everybody else, you realize, gee, we're all struggling with the same kind of things. Yeah, so it's very helpful to talk and to see how different people, our Dharma friends, handle different situations that occur in life using the Dharma methods. So I thought today what we could talk about is frustration. Yeah? Do you get frustrated? Yes. Okay. So I think it's quite effective. We'll just talk about it, share some ideas about it. So we'll start with a little bit of silent meditation. Then I'll ask you a few questions so you can think about the responses to the questions in your meditation. Then we'll break up into groups of about 5 people, and you can share your thoughts and reflections in the small groups. Okay? So we do this at the Abbey, and people really like it and find it very, very helpful. Also, because many times in Dharma centers, people come, they do their practice, they make friends, but what do they talk to their friends about? Worldly things. So here, when you do this kind of discussion, you're talking to your Dharma friends about Dharma topics. And then that makes it easier also when you see your Dharma friends apart from the center to engage in a meaningful conversation about Dharma topics. Okay? So let's start watching our breath for a minute or two, settle the mind, and then I'll put forth some questions for you to contemplate. Okay, let's review the questions. Okay, so what is frustration? How would you define it, and what are its characteristics? And then second, what kind of situations do you usually get frustrated in? And what kind of habit or pattern is there? And 3, when you're frustrated, how do you act? What do you say? What is your behavior? And 4, what ideas do you have for how to maintain a calm mind, to free yourself from frustration, and to be able to deal with the situation in a clear way? Because that's what we want to do, right? Okay, so before you break up into groups, let me give you the instructions on what you're going to do. So, groups of 5 people. If you're here with a relative or a very close friend, go to different groups. That way you get to meet some new people and hear different ideas. Then, in your group, each person speaks one at a time, maybe for 3 or 4 minutes, to answer these 4 questions and share their ideas. Then the next person speaks, then the next person. When each person is speaking and sharing their ideas, there's no cross-talk. We don't interrupt and give our ideas or ask them questions or anything. We just listen. And then after each of the 5 people has finished speaking, then you can share ideas back and forth. Okay? So, to break up into your groups, just talk to 4 other people who are sitting close to you and rearrange your chairs, put them in little circles. If you want to go out in the hallway, that's okay, or stay here, make your circles with your group. And you'll have about a half an hour to talk, okay? So, and the people, please, the important instructions coming, the people who want to take refuge, who have not taken refuge before, this is a time that they will be meeting with Venerable Damcha to go over some of the things in the Refuge Guidelines. And you'll meet in the kitchen. Okay, you will meet, not eat, in the kitchen. Okay, so the refuge people go in there, then the other people get your little groups of 5 and have your discussion. Okay, go do it. Okay, so what are some of the points that came out of your discussion? You ask me questions. I'm asking you what now? Yes. Yeah, she'll give you
I think our group sort of agree that the reason why we become so frustrated is because I love myself so much. I'm the most important thing, Everything must go my way, and if I don't get it, I get frustrated and I get angry, and the anger comes in the form of harsh speech, anger, wanting to hurt other people, and in the process hurting our own self. And I forgot the question. How do we deal with it? Some of us go swimming, jogging. Some of us distract ourselves by doing other stuff. Some people chant mantras to not let the negative things come in between. Basically that.
Okay, good. And somebody back here?
Hello. Hi. Yeah. So my group, right? We think that frustration. The source of frustration is most of the expectations that are unmet. So we have to manage our expectations. And then how to deal with frustration, we generally agree that the best way is, of course, we take a step back and then cool down when the negative energy is less, and then we can deal with the situation better. And also, we also talk about, maybe in the morning and the day, we set the motivation right, and continuously, maybe during the mealtime, we keep having the good motivation for our day, so that it'll be less likely for us to be frustrated. Yeah.
Yeah, I think setting that motivation in the morning is very, very helpful. Yeah. And one thing I do for frustration is, because it seems to me so often it's people are not being cooperative. Yeah. And I have my idea of how things should be, and they're not going along with my right idea. Yeah. I find it very helpful to remind myself that this is a free world and not everybody's going to agree with my ideas. Like, duh. Yeah. Because, when people are uncooperative, there's always an element of surprise, like, well, why aren't they going along with it? And to think, this is kind of normal for samsara. Yeah. Yes.
Sorry. Our group feels that, that it's a repeated waste of time. That's when we get frustrated. And also, we feel that sometimes it's due to our judgmental mind. So we need to look at things from people's perspective. Yeah. And also, what some of us do when we get frustrated is that actually it's quite good, because over the years we learn the Dharma, so some of us know how to watch the emotions when it arise, and then just look at it, and then some of us go and look at the sky.
Go to where?
Look at the sky, the blue sky.
Oh, okay.
And now some of us watch our breathing, so we think that is helpful, and yeah.
Okay, so we're coming up with a number of different antidotes here. Yeah, looking at the sky, going swimming. Yeah, considering the other person's viewpoint. That's a good one, isn't it? How's the other person looking at this situation that is making them, have a different idea than us? And reciting mantra, okay, and just basically maybe watching our breath, calming down a bit.
Venerable, our group actually have a little bit of different point of view on the antidote. The first thing is action with mindfulness action, and another person say a good intention action. Do both of them similar, different intention and mindfulness?
I would ask the person what they mean by mindful action. The meaning
mindfulness action. When you do an action, you have a mindfulness, think about it, and all those things. And another person says, well, I just have a good intention.
Again, the word mindfulness nowadays, it's thrown around here and there and everywhere, isn't it? Everything is mindfulness. And it's become so well used that I don't know what it means anymore, to tell you the truth. Yeah? What does it mean to be mindful? I know what mindfulness means in a Buddhist context when we talk about the 4 establishments of mindfulness, of body, feelings, mind, and phenomena. But once a Buddhist word is in general circulation, I think the meaning becomes rather obscure. Okay, so that could be what is lying behind your question. What's the difference between mindfulness and having a good intention? Yeah, so I can't really answer that unless I know what the words mean. You want to somebody tell me what you mean by mindfulness? Yeah? Okay.
We withdraw the question.
Now I'm frustrated. Okay. Yeah.
Let me just try to guess, explain his meaning. Maybe his word is just to keep a calm state of mind and then try to analyze the situation and then bring the concept of mindfulness to find some solution of solving issue. Is it?
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what mindfulness means in a Buddhist context. Okay? And then, because now there's secular mindfulness, and there's mindfulness eating, and mindfulness volleyball, and, everything's mindfulness now. So I'll tell you what it means in a Buddhist context. It means very close observation of something, namely our body, feelings of pleasure, pain, and neutral, mind, and then phenomena, meaning different mental states or mental factors. So it means closely observing these with a mind of wisdom to understand what they really are. What is their conventional nature? How do they function in the world? What is their ultimate nature? So in a Buddhist context, mindfulness is conjoined with wisdom, and it's directed towards nirvana. Okay? It seems to me secular mindfulness has to do with just observing what your mental states are. Yeah? And through observing your mental states, then learning something. But it's not directed towards nirvana. And it's not investigating, the nature of how things exist. So, because I've studied Buddhism, I know the Buddhist connotation of mindfulness, but secular mindfulness is always a little bit of a puzzle for me. Yeah? So there may be some of you who teach secular mindfulness who maybe could, help me out understanding it. Because most of what I read, as soon as you get an app teaching you mindfulness, then, I don't understand. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then, yeah. Mm-hmm.
During our discussion, what I meant by mindfulness is exactly what Venerable has said. It is not as if it's a secular mindfulness that we should be telling ourselves when faced with frustrations or emanations of frustrations. And then this reminds me of what His Holiness always talk about, which is that we must have the two limbs always with us, wisdom and compassion. They are interdependent and inextricably bound together. And if we have put these two limbs into practice, then we have mindfulness. And just generating, I took a different view from another person, say, just showing good intention, but I don't think that's what he meant, but perhaps I was thinking that the showing of good intention, surely it should be part of mindfulness in the Buddhist way. If you have good intention, as the Buddha shown, then I think it's perfectly all right. But secular good intention is different. So I draw a line there between being Buddhist in our thinking and being secular in that sense.
Yeah, there's a difference between the two. Okay, thank you. Hey, yeah.
Sorry, I'm just a bit confused. First time I'm hearing this term called secular mindfulness. What exactly is secular mindfulness?
Yeah, that was the question I was asking. Okay. Okay, I'm saying that because now what I define as secular mindfulness, I can't define it, but I can tell you who's using it or doing it. So you have therapists teaching mindfulness. I know somebody who's a banker who was teaching mindfulness in their Wall Street bank. Yeah, I don't know if it was mindfulness of the dollars coming in or the dollars going out. You have mindfulness apps. You have people who want some kind of meditation that doesn't involve anything religious, but that will calm their mind. So that they practice mindfulness. And so all of that is what I consider secular mindfulness. Okay? Because it's taking a word that the Buddha used and using it in circumstances where it hasn't been used before. Okay? Because like I said, in Buddhism, it's usually the 4 establishments of mindfulness. Yeah, that's where it comes. In the 37 harmonies with enlightenment, mindfulness comes in many of the other sets of those 37. But it seems to be now just meaning being aware of what is happening in your mind. Yeah.
But wouldn't it be also useful, because once you are aware of what's happening in your mind, wouldn't it also be useful in a way that it can become wisdom too?
Yeah, I think it's very useful to know what's going on in our mind. But it has to be coupled with ethical conduct and with compassion. Because otherwise, I am mindful that I am angry. I am mindful that I want to hurt that other person's feelings. I am mindful that I'm opening my mouth and saying something really nasty. And I'm mindful that I feel happy about it. Okay?
Thank you.
So that's why I say it can't just be observing what's going on. It has to have an element of wisdom that understands, what to practice and what to abandon, to be ethical in order to be considered Buddhist mindfulness. And I think it also has to be coupled with compassion, so that we aren't just aware of ourselves, because that could lead us to becoming, more self-centered, but coupled with compassion that really cares for other living beings. Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to take a break now. It's 10 to 3. How about taking a 15-minute break? Okay, coming back on at 3:05, and then we will delve into the questions, and then also do the refuge afterwards. Okay?
Okay, brothers and sisters, please rise as Rabbi leave the hall.
So also, this discussion we had, and especially about mindfulness here, think about it and discuss it some more amongst each other. Yeah? Because it's not like I have the final word on it. So really, think about it and think about how you deal with your frustration. Okay? Okay. So I'll start going through the questions. So the first one says, how to help someone who is ignorant and too egotistical to accept well-meaning advice. There's very little way to help such a person. Okay? So if you see the person that way, then there's very little you can do to help them. You need to check up whether the person really is that stubborn and egotistical, or whether you're projecting that. What's best is if the person is completely unreceptive to help, then just maintain a state of equanimity, because you can't control the person. Leave the door open in case at some future time they want some help or advice, and then just leave it and go about your life. Don't worry about it, because there's nothing you can do. Is keeping a distance from a friend who complains and gossips a right thing to do, or lack of compassion? Well, if you don't want to engage in complaining and gossiping, chances are it might be wiser to keep some distance from that person. You keep the distance not because you're angry, not because you hate them or think they're totally corrupt, but because you know yourself how easily you can get involved in such actions, and you don't want to become involved in them. How to generate metta for someone who lives a high life but is stingy towards others. The same way you generate metta for everybody. Okay, wishing them well, wishing them happiness. It sounds to me like there's some judgment in this question. Okay? It's not just somebody who lives a high life but is stingy towards others, but it's someone who lives a high life but is stingy towards others and should change because I think they should change. Okay, so if you're seeing the person that way, yeah, you have to get rid of your judgment first. You can say, yeah, that person's stingy, and that person's behavior is what I look like when I'm stingy. Oh. Not that person's stingy, but I'm so generous. Why do we notice another person's stinginess? Very often because we behave the same way. So we can pick it up in other people. So look at your own behavior. Look at your own judgment. Yeah, we have to accept that not everybody's perfect, and that people who are stingy suffer. Okay? And have compassion for them. Yeah? That doesn't mean what they're doing is okay, but, they are suffering due to their own stinginess. And you're suffering due to your judgment. Okay. Okay, so somebody's asking about, as we get involved in Dharma practice, sometimes our interest changes, and how we want to spend our time changes, which people we want to be friends with changes, what activities we think are valuable changes, so there's a change. And sometimes the people around us wonder what happens. So for example, this person's saying, you know, you once loved sports and now you think that it's, you know, not so interesting. Yeah, and you want to put more energy into meaningful activities instead of, you know, hanging around and gossiping and so on and so forth. So, yeah, it's very natural as we get more into Dharma that there's an effect on our day-to-day behavior. You know, thank goodness, isn't it? Yeah, thank goodness there's an effect on our behavior as we begin to, you know, be more careful with what we do and say and what we're interested in and how we spend our time. So that's completely normal, I think, for Dharma practitioners. Often what happens is people will, you know, they want, what they used to do with their old friends, they're now no longer so interested in doing. Their old friends, you know, used to go, take them out to the bar, drinking, and now they don't want to do it. You know, different things like this. And so some people feel very strange, like, I don't fit in with my old group of friends, but I haven't, you know, I'm not sure where I belong yet. And so that also is quite normal. And I think it just is a natural thing that people go through as you become more interested in the Dharma and apply it to your life. And then when you go to Dharma centers and temples, then you make new friends. And so those friends, you know, share your values more. They understand your spiritual interest, your spiritual yearning more. So it's quite normal that these kinds of things change it, yeah? Your family and your friends may go, what's going on? Because somehow they have the idea that you should be a permanent person and never change. But we're always changing, aren't we? Okay. That question I don't quite understand. Let's try another one. Okay. So as a student seeking a teacher, how do I know what the teacher is requesting is out of bounds or unreasonable? Okay, for example, if the teacher wants me to wash their feet every day, is this reasonable? Okay, now this depends on which Buddhist tradition you're in and how the people in that tradition practice. If you go to Thailand, yeah, the monks will go out on Pindapat. When they come back, then the lay people usually have something ready for washing their feet because they were just out walking barefoot on the roads. So in that kind of situation, where that happens with all the monks, you know, and there's a reason for it, and it doesn't mean you necessarily wash their feet, but you have everything ready, that's completely normal, okay? If in Singapore, your teacher wears shoes and they're not walking through the mud and dust to go on Pindapat, but they want you to wash their feet, then you may ask, you know, what is the reason for this? Okay, so it's going to depend on the situation and the Buddhist tradition and how that person practices. if a teacher expects us to do everything for them, wash their dishes, etc., is it reasonable? So this is also going to depend on what kind of relationship you choose to have with the teacher. You know, some people want a relationship where they just come for teachings and then they go home. Other people want a relationship where they can offer service to the teacher, because that way they can learn a lot by offering service, and their actions help the teacher accomplish the teacher's virtuous projects. Okay? So if you're choosing that, and you're making yourself available just to help your teacher with whatever they need, and they say, please wash the dishes, then that's fine. Yeah? If you don't want to have that kind of relationship with your teacher, then don't be around at mealtime. Because if at mealtime the teachers eat and you eat, but you expect not to have to clean up and have somebody else wash your dishes, or have the teacher wash your dishes, then you shouldn't be eating the food that has been offered to the Sangha to start with. Okay, so if you're eating that food, you should be willing to help and, needless to say, clean up after yourself. Okay? Okay. Okay, is it important for us to chant or recite Buddhist verses in Tibetan language? Most of us do not speak Tibetan. No, it's not important that you do this in Tibetan. And in fact, His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, says we should do our prayers and recitations and our meditation practices in a language we understand. Because otherwise, if we just are doing the phonetics for the Tibetan chanting, or Chinese, or Pali, or whatever it is, but we don't understand a word of what we're saying, then our mind is not changing. And the purpose of doing the chanting is to transform our mind. We're not doing the chanting for the sake of doing the chanting, but we're doing it to transform our mind. So we should understand what we're saying. Yeah. So I know many centers, they like doing it in, Tibetan or Pali or Chinese or whatever. So, if you go to services there, then hopefully they would have, the foreign language and English, and then you would learn, you could read the English while everybody else was chanting. Yeah, you don't have to do the chanting. You can read the English and think, according to the ideas expressed in the English if you go to the services. When you do practices on your own, you'll notice the medicine Buddha sadhana is completely in English. So you could understand it. Isn't that nice? Yeah? Okay. Because that's what transforms your mind. Xiao Hong, I'm gonna change this a bit. Now you're frustrated. She set forth a schedule for the rest of the afternoon, and I want to change it. So what is your advice or guidance on living a more meaningful and purposeful life? Good question. I would say establish a daily meditation practice, find a teacher that you trust and a Buddhist tradition that really makes sense to you, study, go for teachings, and hear teachings so that you learn the Dharma. Go home and think about the teachings, contemplate them, discuss them, put them into practice in your life, and make the Dharma something very meaningful in your life. Make it more meaningful than money. I know for Singaporeans that's hard. But really, it's possible. Yeah, it's possible. And so just be clear what your values are, live according to them. Some people will say very good, some people will criticize you. The most important thing is that you know your own truth inside, and you know why you're doing what you're doing, and you have confidence in that. Because you're doing something ethical, you're practicing kindness and compassion, and so go ahead. Okay? Okay, so somebody's saying, on the celibacy of monastics, how do you reconcile that with the consort practice done in some tantric texts on tumo or other kinds of things? Okay, so this is a very common question. First of all, consort practice in Tantra is reserved for very, very highly realized beings. His Holiness Dalai Lama says maybe there's a handful of such people alive today. Okay? Those people, if they happen to be monastics, they give back their monastic precepts, and then they do that practice under the guidance of their teacher, having received instruction on how to do it. Otherwise, in Tantra, they use the visualization, and so sometimes you will see pictures of deities, what they call the yabyum, the male and female, and that it represents the union of bliss and emptiness, or the union of compassion and wisdom. So it is not repeated, not that everybody who's practicing Tantra is going around having sex. Okay, this is a big misunderstanding of Tibetan Buddhism. Yeah. So according to Chinese Mahayana teachings, with strong faith, aspiration, and practice, Amitabha Buddha will receive the deceased. What is the equivalent of Tibetan Buddhism? First of all, I'd recommend that this person listen to the teachings I gave, when was it, 2 nights ago, at Vimalakirti Center on who is Amitabha, okay? Because I don't think, well, put it this way, we would have to understand what faith, aspiration, and practice mean. It isn't, I believe in Amitabha so strongly, and where's my chocolate ice cream? It's really a process of training the mind in the Dharma, developing renunciation of samsara, cultivating bodhicitta, beginning to understand the ultimate nature, and aspiring to be reborn in the Pure Land. So it's a thing of creating a lot of virtue and dedicating that for rebirth in the Pure Land. It's not a simple thing, of just Amitabha, please come get me. And especially, for the deceased, we may do prayers and offerings and dedicate the merit for the deceased. But it's not like if you pray to Amitabha to come get the deceased, that's going to happen, because the person themselves has to create virtue. everything depends on our creating the causes. Yeah, no one else can create the causes for us. They can pray and dedicate for us, but we have to create the causes. Okay? And it's not a question of waiting until you're dying and then all of a sudden, oh yes, by the way, I love Amitabha. Okay? It's not like that. Yeah? And it's not yet, we're very much creatures of habit. So somebody who has had no spiritual interest during their life is highly unlikely at the time of death to think about spiritual things. If you've thought about money your whole life, at the time of death, you're going to worry about what happens to your money. And you're going to have a horrible death because it's going to be very clear to you that none of your money comes with you. No matter how many stacks of $100 bills from the bank of hell you burn. Okay? Yeah. So Buddhism is really, it relies so much on the whole idea of cause and effect. It's not magic, it's cause and effect. We create the causes and we experience the effects. And so that's one reason why it's so important to study and learn the Dharma, so we know what the causes of happiness are, so we can practice them, and we know what the causes of suffering are, so we can abandon them. Okay? What is the significance of visualizing the medicine Buddhas dissolving one into another and then into the medicine Buddha on the crown of our head? Okay, when we visualize the 8 medicine Buddhas, yeah, they're actually they're symbolic of the Buddha's qualities that we want to develop. And they're also projections of our mind. So they're both things. And one dissolving into the other, and then eventually into us, is meaning that things originate with our mind and then dissolve back into our mind. When we visualize the medicine Buddha, it's like we are thinking of the virtuous qualities that we want to develop that the Buddhas have. We project them outwards into a physical form of the medicine Buddha. Then we purify, we create merit, using that projection, and then it dissolves back into us, and we meditate that our mind is empty of inherent existence, and so is the medicine Buddha's mind. And we feel that, that unity in that way, that lack of duality. Okay, so all the medicine Buddhas are dissolving one into another and then into us. And the whole thing about dissolving is it's indicating that, they don't have findable essences, that no phenomena, including the Buddha, is a self-enclosed entity independent of all other factors, that everything depends on other factors. Okay, so yes, the medicine Buddha, king of lapis lazuli, lapis light, is the main medicine Buddha. And does each medicine Buddha signify a different quality to be practiced? I would think so. I don't know all the qualities that each Buddha emphasizes, but it's usually the case that different Buddhas emphasize different things, although they all have the same nature and the same realizations. Okay, so I'm sure all the medicine Buddhists get along, you know. It's not that one of them is jealous of the other because that one has more compassion or, you know, whatever. They all have the same realizations. Okay, so why do we recite each verse 3 times or 7 times? What's the significance of 3 or 7? Okay, this reminds me of a funny time when I was working on these books with His Holiness. I asked why 49 days for, you know, is the maximum time in the intermediate state. So the translator was there when I asked. He was saying that question to His Holiness, and the answer is because 48 was too little and 50 was too many. So I guess 2 times is too little and 4 times is too many. So laughter aside, I think why we sometimes say things repeatedly is to give us a chance to focus more on the meaning. Because sometimes we recite things and our attention is on something else. So it gives us 3 chances to kind of really focus, you know, and 3 chances to get the idea into our mind of what that verse is expressing. Are arhats and bodhisattvas also sentient beings? Yes. Any being with a mind who is not a fully awakened Buddha is considered a sentient being. Of course, we can see there's a wide range of sentient beings. Yeah, arhats are sentient beings, but they're not in samsara. Okay. Do they experience suffering? So I'm curious and wondering if we include them also in the prayers, for example, in the 4 immeasurables. Then the third question's cute. Okay, the second question. Okay, so do they experience suffering? So arhats, may experience physical suffering while they have their body. After they leave their body, from the Mahayana viewpoint, they are meditating. They reside in single-pointed meditation on the nature of reality. So clearly there's no suffering during that time, but they have not removed all of the cognitive obscurations from their mind. Yeah. So they have happiness and its causes, but they don't have the happiness and causes of full awakening. Okay. In terms of bodhisattvas, there's a wide range of bodhisattvas. Some bodhisattvas are ordinary beings. That means they have not realized emptiness. They are not Aryas. Okay? Arhats are Aryas because they've realized emptiness. Other bodhisattvas have realized emptiness and they're Aryas. Okay? So clearly the ones who are not Aryas, yes, they're going to have physical and mental suffering, not as great as ours, because they've done a lot of purification and because they know how to handle their minds and work with their minds to lessen the cause of suffering. The Arya Bodhisattvas, I don't think they have manifest suffering. In fact, it says that due to their merit, they do not have physical suffering, and due to their wisdom, they do not have mental suffering. Okay, that's for the Arya Bodhisattvas. But they too haven't yet eliminated all of the cognitive obscurations, so they still need to do that. Okay, so yeah, you can still include them in the Four Immeasurables. And when you do the taking and giving practice, the Tonglen practice, you can take from them their cognitive obscurations or whatever obscurations they have remaining, which it reflects what level of the path they're on. Okay? Then, this question made me smile. What do they do with their time? Okay, so I don't think they hang out and play poker together. Yeah. So the arhats, you know, when they have a body, they continue living, you know, as we do, teaching their disciples, spreading the Dharma. When they leave their body, then, like I said, they stay in the state of nirvana, meditating on the nature of reality, until the Buddha reminds them that it would, you know, be good if they completed the path to Buddhahood. In terms of the Bodhisattvas, the Arya all the Bodhisattvas are practicing the collections of merit and the collections of wisdom. So the collection of merit is developed by being of great benefit to sentient beings, cultivating generosity, ethical conduct, fortitude, and so on, love, compassion. And then the collection of wisdom is gained by meditating on emptiness. So they're involved in that practice, you know, so sometimes they're active with sentient beings, doing things that benefit them. Other times they're you know, doing their meditation. Okay. Are they governed by time? If they appear in, you know, in our worlds, yeah, they are. You know, when you tell His Holiness Dalai Lama what time a teaching starts, he comes at that time. Okay. Okay. And let me try this one again, see if I understand it better. Okay, so I don't quite understand the question, but it has to do with somebody seeking to become the embodiment of love and compassion, and doing this for a trial period of 12 months. But they have some fears and concerns, and that's what I don't totally understand. But basically, you know, this is very good to try and develop your love and compassion equally towards all sentient beings. Yeah. So the idea in Buddhism is that love and compassion are not restricted to just our family, and not restricted to the people that we like and the people we're close to and the people who praise us and so on. Okay? But what we're trying to do is cultivate love, which is wanting sentient beings to have happiness in its causes, and compassion, wanting them to be free of suffering in its causes, and cultivating that equally for each and every living being. Okay? So there's teachings in Tibetan Buddhism that teach us how to develop that love and compassion based on first cultivating equanimity for friends, enemies, and strangers. Okay? So that's our aim when in Buddhist practice. Of course, it's difficult, isn't it? Because our minds have attachment and anger, so we automatically have preferences. And we become attached to the people who are nice to us, and we get angry at the people who are not nice to us. And we categorize people as nice and not nice according to how they treat us. We think we're categorizing them because they are inherently nice or not nice people. But it's not that. We categorize them based on how they treat us because we consider ourselves the center of the universe. So, if somebody's nice to me, they must be a good person. If they're nice to somebody else, not so much. And if they're nice to somebody I don't like, then they also become a person I don't like. Okay. Whereas, if somebody is rude and nasty to me, I think from their side, they are a horrible, rude, nasty person. Okay. But if they're rude and nasty to somebody else I don't like, great. They're on my side. So you see how our evaluations of people as friend, enemy, and stranger, we evaluate people like that because we think it's based on who they are, but it's actually based on us, depending on how people treat us. It's not really based on who they are. Okay? So what we're trying to do in our practice is get rid of that kind of bias so we can really have open-hearted concern for everybody without playing favorites. So like I said, it's hard, but we aim to go in that direction. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, we have a few minutes left. Any other questions that people have? Yeah.
That strange question was mine, the last one you read.
Uh-huh.
The question is actually, I fear that if I'm compassionate to somebody else, they will take advantage of me. So how can I maintain the strength to continue to want to be compassionate?
Okay. So the concern is if we're compassionate to other people, they will take advantage of us. Okay? So it's interesting to ask ourselves, what do we mean by someone taking advantage of us? Yeah? Does it mean somebody manipulating us into doing something that we don't really want to do? Is that what taking advantage of us means? That we're manipulated into doing something we don't really want to do? If that's the meaning of take advantage, then the solution is for us to be clearer in our own minds about what is suitable behavior and what is not, and to be clearer on the side of the other person, and to be clearer in our own minds of what we feel good about doing and what we do not want to do. Okay? So people manipulate us because of a lack of clarity we have, or because we're afraid of what other people will think of us. So I think, at least in my thinking about what it means to be manipulated or taken advantage of, it usually has to do with one of these two things. I'm not clear what I want, what I think is good or bad, so somebody's pushing me and I'm not clear, so I just go along with it. And then later I go, uh-oh, no, I didn't really want to do that, and I didn't say anything. In which case the remedy is to get much clearer in our own mind, okay? What we want to do, what we don't want to do. Then the second challenge is we may be fairly clear in our own mind, what we want to do and what not, what we consider acceptable and what we don't. But we really want everybody to like us. And this person wants us to do something, and if we don't do it, they won't like us, and they'll say bad things about us behind our back, then other people won't like us. And so we just kind of go along with something, even though we know it's not good, even though we don't want to do it, because we want people to like us. This is called being attached to reputation and being attached to praise and approval. Yeah? Attachment, as we all know, is an affliction because it's based on exaggerating the good qualities of someone or something. So in the case of seeking reputation or approval, we somehow have the notion in our mind that if people approve of us, that means we're a good person. And if people disapprove of us, that means we're a bad person. So we completely leave our moral compass in the hands of other people. Is that smart? No. Just because people approve of us, does that mean that what we do is virtuous and that we're a wonderful person? Yeah. And many people approved of what Adolf Hitler did. Does that make his behavior ethical and honest? Does that make him a good person? Come on. Yeah. Somebody may disapprove of us, because we're standing up for what we know is right, and they may criticize us for doing that. But why do we care? Yeah. Why do we care what ignorant beings think about us or say about us? Isn't it more valuable to be concerned with what the wise people would think about our behavior than what the ignorant people think about it? So, does our behavior correspond with what the Buddha teaches? Yeah, I think we need to be more concerned with that than with whether other people like us or don't like us. Because other people change their mind all the time, don't they? They like you one day, they're mad at you the next day. Just like you. You like someone one day, you get mad at them the next day. Yeah? You're sitting here now, oh, Venerable Chodron gave such a good teaching. Then you leave, oh, you should have heard what that lady said. Okay? So what is there to trust? What people think of us doesn't mean we are that. Okay? Let me tell you also another little story about being taken advantage of. There is this very wonderful Catholic priest in Los Angeles who works in the very poor areas of the town, where there's a lot of gang violence, a lot of broken homes, and so on. And he's wonderful. He set up a whole business called Homeboy Incorporated. And he has gang members from different gangs. He gives them jobs there. And so these gang members learn how to do a job and how to earn a living. And so they have a bakery, they have a restaurant, they do different kinds of things. So he does wonderful work with these gang members. Of course, not all the gang members go to Homeboy Incorporated and work there. There's a lot of them that are just on the streets getting into trouble. And this priest realizes that it's not that these young people are bad. You know, it's not their home lives are so tumultuous and so much affected by poverty and racism that joining a gang is escaping from their home life for them. And so he tries to help some of these kids when they need to go somewhere, when they're having a problem. He talks to them on the street. He drives them places. Sometimes he gives them a little bit of money if they need some money. Not money for drugs, but, you know, they need something to eat. He gives them money. So he tells the story that some people say to him, "Aren't these kids taking advantage of you?" And his reply is, "I gave my advantage away." Okay. So that's like a Zen koan. Yeah. What does he mean? I gave my advantage away. Okay. So think about that. Yeah. Okay. So I think we're at the end today. So Xiao Hong, I'm going to tell you the schedule now. Okay. So then we'll see how she acts when she's frustrated. By the way, I only tease people that I like, that I know won't be furious at me for teasing them. Okay. So what we're going to do now is dedicate the merit, okay? And then we have mani pills, these blessed pills, blessed by the recitation of Om Mani Padme Hum, many millions of times. So we will distribute those to people, and people can make offerings if they want to. And then those people can leave because the day is finished. And then the people who want to take refuge, you stay on. And after all that stuff is finished, then we'll do the refuge ceremony. Okay? And then after the refuge ceremony, then we'll take another little break and we'll have the volunteer gathering.
The medicine Buddha statue, the sasa.
Okay.
Yeah. We need you to leave it to 8 of them.
Okay, so you better tell me what to do then. Okay. Well, okay. So we can give out the medicine Bodhisattva now, okay, and then do the mani pills and that kind of stuff, and then do refuge, okay? And I'm not frustrated.
When I read out the names, maybe you can come over to get the sasa.
What?
Dedication merits, yes. Sorry.
Okay, so dedicate.
Yes.
Okay. So let's put on the screen the dedication from the Medicine Buddha Sadhana. Okay. And by the way, take the sadhana home with you. Unfortunately, I didn't get around to explaining the sadhana, the practice. So it would be nice sometime to be able to do that. There's books out about Medicine Buddha, and I think on my website there's also some teachings from retreats that I've led on the Medicine Buddha. So go to thubtenchodron.org and you can look them up. Okay. Okay. So the dedication is on the last page. So take a moment and really rejoice first at all the merit we created by doing something really meaningful with our lives. And imagine sending this merit out in the form of light that touches all the living beings and brings them physical and mental peace. And so let's dedicate for our own and others' enlightenment, for the Buddha Dharma to exist in a pure land, in a pure form forever, and for the long life of our teachers and our Dharma friends. Due to this merit, may we soon attain the awakened state of medicine Buddha, that we may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious Bodhi not yet born arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. Due to the virtue accumulated by doing the medicine Buddha practice, may I complete the ocean-like deeds of the Bodhisattvas. May I become the protector, refuge, and guide of migratory beings who have been infinitely kind to me. Guru Medicine Buddha with compassion guides all sentient beings, infinite as space. May I also become a compassionate guide for all sentient beings existing in all directions of the universe. Due to the merit accumulated by myself and others, the past, present, and future, may anyone who merely sees, hears, remembers, touches, or talks to me be freed in that very instant from all sufferings and abide in happiness forever. Due to this virtue, which is empty, may I, who is empty, quickly achieve Medicine Buddha's awakening, which is empty, and lead all sentient beings who are empty to that awakening, which is empty, by myself alone, who is also empty. And let's also dedicate the merit for Pureland marketing and all of the people, the staff and the volunteers and everybody involved with Pureland. And for all the FOSAs, the Friends of Sravasti Abbey, Singapore. Let's dedicate for them so that their Dharma activities can continue to spread and help Buddhism become wider, more widely known and practiced in Singapore, so that the entire country can benefit from the peace and calm and harmony that Buddhist practice brings. Okay. Yeah, so now we'll give the satsa out. She's the MC.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Venerable, for the precious teaching. I believe all of you have also benefited. Okay. And now, Venerable will be giving up the money pills. So we'll give up the money pills first, plus the offerings from the Medicine Buddha prayer just now. Yeah, so those who would like to have it, can you please queue here and get the money pill and the offering?
佛说法身不息，六部十方玄妙理，来自净土的梵音，胜过凡尘万种因。来自北大愿力，迷路智慧是真理。佛国净土的梵音，功德殊胜说不尽，唯愿众生早觉醒，殊胜无上妙菩提。来自净土的梵音，法音旋流无边际，力耀群生度有情，众生闻知皆欢喜。来自净土的梵音，微妙殊胜不思议，诸佛说法身不息，六部十方玄妙理，来自净土的梵音，胜过凡尘万种因。来自北大愿力，迷路智慧是真理。佛国净土的梵音，功德殊胜说不尽，唯愿众生早觉醒，殊证无上妙菩提。来自净土的梵音，微妙殊胜不思议，诸佛说法身不息，六部十方玄妙理，来自净土的梵音，胜过凡尘万种因。来自北大愿力，迷路智慧是真理。佛国净土的梵音，功德殊胜说不尽，唯愿众生早觉醒，殊胜无上妙菩提。唯愿众生早觉醒，殊胜无上妙菩提。